everyone. We are going to look at transforming linear equations. This particular set of transformations that we're going to be doing is just paying attention to changes in direction. In other words, we are changing things from puff puff positive to, let's finish writing this, to nice negatives. So think your inner slope dude is going to really come out in these. So puff puff positive to nice negatives. So let's start out with this first equation, y equals x. Y-intercept is 0. My slope is that invisible number 1. I'm going to just write that in here so we can see it. That invisible number 1. And so that means my slope is up 1 over 1, up 1 to the right 1, up 1 to the right 1, up 1 to the right 1, and so on. And so I can create my line, which I got a little off with on this bottom part. I can create my line like this. Cool. So this has a puff puff positive slope. If we see a change in terms of a positive number versus a negative number in terms of our slope, we have a change in direction. And so I just want you to say that there is a reflection. You can say that reflection is over the x-axis or over the y-axis. It doesn't matter. You could also just say it's reflected or it's changed direction from puff puff positive to nice negative. It doesn't matter to me, but you need to acknowledge that there has been a change in its, what we would call its polarity. So it's changed from positive to negative. Its polarity has changed. So y equals negative x. We would graph this. It has a 0, it goes through 0, 0, and it has a negative 1 slope. So it's down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1, and so on. So we draw a line like this. To show the nice negative slope. Cool. Negative. I'll make that a little bit more obvious. Let's check out one more problem like this. We have y equals 2x and y equals negative 2x. Now normally you can totally graph these on, if you're comparing two functions, you can totally graph them on just one graph. I'm doing it on two just so that way I can just see them very clearly between the two. So this, it goes through 0, 0. The slope is 2, so that means the slope is technically 2 over 1 if I were to write it in rise over run form. Up 1 over to the right 2, or up 2 to the right 1, sorry. Up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1. Down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1, and so on. And now I can connect my dots and finish my graph. I'm going to do the same thing with this one over here. We have y is equal to negative 2x. So my plus b is 0. My slope is negative 2, which means it's negative 2 over 1 if I were to write it in slope or rise over run form. So down 1 to the right 2, or down 2 to the right 1, sorry, down 2 to the right 1, to that 2 times in a row. Goodness sakes. And so now we can see that change in its polarity. And of course I just drew that horribly. Let's see if I can do that better. There we go. So we can see that reflection. So if we were to look at that, we can either talk about it being reflected over the x-axis and having all these numbers become these numbers, all these numbers becoming these numbers, or we can talk about it in terms of the y-axis being reflected, all these values becoming these values, all these values here becoming these positive values over in that quadrant 4. So check out the next two videos, and then after you've done that, you can start working on the must-do practice problems. Thank you for watching. Bye.